Hello, everybody, in 910 World. This is Thomas Revore. I'm the owner and runner of 910 CMX, the guy that you usually complain about. Welcome to our March Art Jam. As usual, our art jams are basically going through and just for some of our artists to join in, have fun, draw something, and hopefully at times, raise a little money for charity. This time we really don't have a charity. What we're doing is we're doing it for some operational funds here at 910 Comics. Um, for more information, you can go over to artjam.910cmx.com and see some of the rules. For example, what we're going to be doing tonight are 4 rounds of Mad Libs. 3 rounds will just be where every artist is given a subject and an action, and they have 20 minutes to draw that in. Now, plus a fourth round where we will have one subject in action, and all artists will have to draw that. Let me go ahead and start off by introducing some of our people here. We're going to go ahead and start off with, from Point Guardian, Ben Carver.
Hello.
Who?
Hello.
Yeah. I
Hello.
gotta love the mute. Okay, I'll mute and unmute people. Say hello again, Ben, now that you're unmuted.
Hello again.
Okay. Also, perennial favorite here at 910 from both The Watch and from his own comic at City of Reality, we have Ian Sampson, who won't unmute. You might have to unmute yourself, Ian.
Okay,
There we go.
There we go. Howdy, howdy.
Okay. Also, we'll have staying silent but staying within the chat itself is going to be both Rafe and Akashi, the creative team over from MSF High, msfhigh.com. And they say hi. And also, finally, we're having a little trouble getting him in here, but from Zebra Girl, one of our new members of 910, well, relatively new, he's been with us for about a year or so now, Joe England. And he'll be... So we're going to go ahead and go with the first round. But before we do, let me read off our rules. I gave a brief overview of it, but as I said, each round will last 30 minutes. The first 10 minutes will be the assigning of the topics and for researching and deciding on the topic itself. The next 20 minutes will be for the artist to actually draw their topic. That means the subject and the action. After the round is over, we immediately go, all drawing stops, and we will immediately go into the assigning in the next round. Now usually we'll have different types of rounds for this. We will have our Mad Libs round where a subject and action is randomly assigned to each artist. Viewers can, now y'all can join in this because you can purchase a subject or an action by sending us a little bit of money over here at 910 Comics. That will be at TFREVOR, my name, at gmail.com through PayPal. For every dollar that you send, you can choose either one action or one subject. Or if you want to purchase multiples, you can send multiple bits of money. It doesn't have to be, if $10 you send in, you can either have 10 words or 1 word 10 times, and those will be added into our randomizer. After that, we have our dealer's choice, where each artist will choose the subject for the next artist in line. Our webcomic shuffle, where each artist will be assigned the webcomic from one of our other artists in attendance, and they must draw a character from that. Or our commission lottery, where all of you will be given a ticket. We will randomly choose them, and one of you will get to choose the subject and the action for our artists. Our final round will always be our final jam, which is a Mad Libs round where we will choose one subject and one action, and all of our artists will have to draw that. Now, as I said, you can also donate into 910 Comics, and for each dollar you can choose a subject or an action. You can donate multiple times for multiple words or the same word multiple times. Or you can actually override the current competition. That means for $50, and I know that seems a little steep, you can specify a specific subject and action to be randomly assigned to one of our artists. Or you can specify a specific round type. And then at a $100 level, the first person in can specify specific action and subject for a specific artist. So if you've got something you want to see one of our artists do, go ahead and send that money in, and you can choose your specific action, your specific subject, and the artist to draw that. Now, what we are going to be doing with this money for 910 is basically we're going to be buying some new equipment. This does not come cheap, and we do need to start looking at getting a new server for some of the equipment here at 910 Comics. That means a new motherboard, new processor, new memory, new hard drive. Not a case, we've got cases. But we're looking at needing about at least $400 for that. And that's not even including the daily operational costs that we have with 910. But now that I've worn on for about an additional 10 minutes, we're going to go ahead and we're going to do the first jam. So let's go ahead and let me ask names into the hopper.
Is it named Dennis?
Now you see, I'm going to do the jokes here. Okay. And new technologies, you've got to love it. This is actually the first time we've done some of this, so we're going through it as we go through it. And so our artists can see. Here is what we have for our artists. Ian, your subject is going to be, from the video games, Nathan Drake. And his action is going to be selling. Ben, from DC Comics, you have Supergirl. Okay. And I knew this would come up no matter how random it got, no matter how many words that we have. Action is being transformed. Akashi, your subject is going to be, also from the video games, Lara Croft, and her action is going to be her getting angry. And finally, for Joe, you're going to have Starfire, and her action is choosing.
Okay, should I be unmuted? Because we had the whole mute thing going on, just making sure.
That's up to you now.
Okay.
We'll be talking to our artists as they come in.
Okay. Tom, Kitty Hawk has told me that the chat is not turned on for this Hangout for random people to chat on YouTube.
Okay, for those on YouTube, go ahead and leave comments within the comment section of YouTube. I will be looking at these as they come in.
There actually is a chat option as well. Don't know how to turn it on, but
I think they've. I don't know if they removed that. We do have a chat option for those here within the chat, the artists.
Okay. Okay, so I got to draw Supergirl transforming. Okay.
Yep.
Are we starting?
And we are starting now.
Okay.
Got a little head start there.
Yeah, I don't want to go to that.
We don't know much about Nathan Drake, unfortunately, but I think I know enough.
Yeah, Nathan
hopefully.
Drake is from the
Uncharted.
The Uncharted series, and his name was not exactly just drawn out of a hat. It was an homage to a certain Mr. Fillion that we all love from Firefly, and that what's that new show that he has on now, Rook or Bishop or something like that?
Okay. Picture Nathan Drake is a video game protagonist voiced by Nolan North. I think I gave Ian all the information he needs. Nolan North.
Okay, let me see if I can. No, it is not allowing me to see my own YouTube channel. wonderful technical stuff.
Yes.
Oh yeah, how much time do we have again?
20 minutes. 1 minute of which has gone by.
Okay.
Okay, and as we go through. So, Ben, you're first up on the list. What have you been up to lately?
Oh Jesus! I'm drawing a buffer for Majestic Knight. Majestic Knight is going on rather well. I have almost the 2-month buffer finished. So once I have my 2-month buffer finished, I will be designing the website and implementing it. So just need to get that done.
Ian, I know that you've been taking a little bit of break. I know you've been doing a lot of commissions recently. What's been going on with them?
Been going okay. Got through most of the first round of commissions. Still got a few to go, and then after I get through this queue, I've got a few more on that I'll be doing right after that. And after that, I might get back to webcomics. Might get back or try something new. I have a few ideas.
Ooh, anything you can tell us?
Not right now, just yet. Kind of planning things out still.
Okay. All right. Kara Zor-El. Okay.
Ben, you've gone back to your default icon. I think you need to share your screen again.
What?
Okay.
I don't care what people say. I love the classic Supergirl costume with the skirt. That's what I'm drawing, damn it.
Yeah, I'm still waiting for someone to explain to me how why an invulnerable Kryptonian needs armor. Yeah, we could go on for 2 hours complaining about the state of comics as they are nowadays, but you know we're webcomics. We get to do that.
Yes, we do.
Any luck getting Joe in?
Not yet. Let me try this again.
Zoom in on her head. Okay. See, there was a time then when people complained about how Bruce Timm did Supergirl, and it's like now those people are like wishing for that back.
I'm sure a lot of our viewers know Bruce Timm was one half of the creative genius that gave us such things as Batman the Animated Series, Superman the Animated Series, Batman Beyond, part of Static Shock, and of course Justice League and Justice League Unlimited.
Yes.
And now went on. He was in charge of all of DC animation for a while then, and then we actually had. I mean, he turned some pretty bad source material into some pretty decent animation. Um, Ian, Ben, you're our animation guys. I mean, do you know if Tim is still over there or if he's gone into other things?
He's more like a figurehead now. It's like I mean it's other people are in charge of the animated projects. That's why they're so well what they are now. Yeah. Yeah, I'm gonna just say it. It's if you seen the have you seen the Assault on Arkham direct-to-DVD movie?
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm just gonna say it. You know, it's I'm not a prude by any means, but I was really turned off by that Deadshot Harley sex scene.
Yahtzee.
Yes.
Part of the reason why I'm defaulting to Ben on some of the animation is he hosts a podcast called Animation Aficionados, where he gets to talk about some of the different animations. He's had me on a couple of times. He's had Ian on a couple of times.
I actually never had Ian on.
Well, I bet you've had Ian. Weren't you on once?
I was on the Webcomic Beacon with you guys, but not Animation Aficionados.
Okay.
I'm not good at the whole talking on air thing, so this is part of like a little practice for that as well.
Yes. Let's see here. The thing I love is classic superhero costumes usually aren't that complicated. There aren't too many lines on them. You can draw them by memory. There's not like all these different scenes and shit. So. And I've done many episodes about costume design, basically talking about, yeah, you know, it's there's this old rule that if you can't tell who the character is by their silhouette, you failed.
Well, that eliminates most of the comics from the 90s.
Some people attribute this to Stan Lee saying that, but hearing that, I think he actually stole the line from Ditko or Kirby.
Well, I don't know. I mean, because that may have come from even further back.
Eisner?
Yeah, the late great Will Eisner, who, if there are two people who can immediately come to mind who are the most influential on comics nowadays and for about the past 40, 50 years, it would have been Will Eisner, who is probably the greatest of the sequential art storytellers. Someone who knew that it wasn't just pictures, it wasn't just words, it was both of them, and he used both of them masterfully. And of course, the king himself, the late great Jack Kirby, who was the standard which everybody looked up to in comics.
But yeah, that's something I remember hearing is you can't tell who he is by the silhouette, you failed. I'll make my eraser smaller.
Now, I mean, as webcomics, I mean, this is one of my favorite subjects. Has always been Scott McCloud talked about it as the infinite canvas. Excuse me, the eternal canvas, the infinite canvas, because there is so much to be done with webcomics that you cannot do in print media, such as space sequencing. Action, motion, video, sounds.
Yes.
Ian, I've held you up as a standard on this on a number of podcasts because of some of the work you did with City of Reality, where you had basically a choose-your-own-adventure a mini choose-your-own-adventure in some of your stories. Where do you think webcomics is going? Because personally, I've seen comics getting away from some of the experimental stuff and going back to the traditional style of storytelling.
Well, I'd say that a lot of people are trying all sorts of different things. We've seen experiments that have worked and some that haven't, and some that can't really be reproduced. Like, I can't completely speak on it, but I've heard amazing things about Homestuck. But it sounds like the kind of thing that's like extremely unique, extremely different, and a lot of these experiments, all these innovations and things, they're not the kind of thing that becomes a standard. Comics, in general, I think, we have something that really works. And while I'd love to see more people try more different things and interactivity in their things, usually when it comes to interaction, I used Flash in mine, and that was like, not as many people used it back then, but now whenever they're trying to tell stories with interaction, it's, through video games, not through webcomics and such. So, the innovations come and go, we learn from them, and we figure out what works and come up with new things.
Now, I haven't been going to Wraith and Akashi that much because their microphone, they don't have a microphone. Let me ask you two, quite frankly, other than your own comics, can you name two of your favorite comics? One from both of you. While we wait for, they ask if I'm just talking American comics or if they can add in manga. I don't care. I mean, to me, comics are comics. We can talk about the different styles. I mean, between Uncle Scrooge to Neil Adams' Batman to Homestar Runner. Whatever you want. I mean, online, offline, print media, electronic, Japanese, French, American, English, Russian, Korean, whatever. Name your two favorite comics. And while they're responding to all that, let me toss that over to you, Ian, because you're on voice here. Name your two favorite comics of all.
I should have been thinking about this while you were asking them. Of all time. That's definitely something to think about.
Your favorite comic of all time and your favorite comic of current media.
I suck at these favorite questions. There's a lot of things that I like about all sorts of things, but I can't. Listing a favorite is just really, really difficult. Give me some time on that one. Let's switch to Ben.
Ben, okay. Well, let me rephrase the question for you then. We'll choose one webcomic and one traditional media. You walk into a comic shop. What is the first comic you pick up?
This is to me?
Yes, to you, Ben.
If I gotta be honest, the only thing I really spend money on now is Gold Digger.
Fred Perry, over from Antarctic Crest, correct?
Yes, because he's the kind of guy who tells a story. He's the kind of guy who's doing it with a nod and a wink. He's like, yeah, doesn't make any sense, but you know what? Here's a sexy girl.
I have to give that. I mean, it seems like Antarctic Press for the longest time, who's still owned and run by Ben Dunn, isn't it? Their cash cow was Ben Dunn's comic Ninja High School.
Yes.
This was back in the 90s. Fred. Nowadays, it seems like almost everything from them is Fred Perry stuff. I mean, Gold Digger swimsuit issues, Gold Digger itself. He even did. I mean, not a staff. Perry himself did not one but two animated DVDs, didn't he?
He did, and they are awesome. Fred Perry is a self-taught animator. He has lots of awesome animation on his YouTube channel. I suggest you check it out. One of my favorites is he took that pirate song, You Are a Pirate, and he did this awesome animation that takes this song that was from this like really stupid children's show and made it very sexually lewd and hilarious.
I don't think Perry can do anything but make something like that. We've got a response from Wraith saying, Akashi's saying Gunnery Court. Is that not right? Ian, you're more into...
Gunnery Court, yeah. That's a great one.
And Wraith is saying, Ah, my goddess, known as Oh my goddess over here because, we Americans can't say ah.
Oh my goodness, somehow.
Because Ah my goddess is the most visually easy to follow just about all the comics they've got. Ben, because you also did do a podcast on comics, you've definitely had me on that a lot of times as the grumpy old person.
Yes.
I noticed as a writer and as someone who's worked with a lot of artists, a lot of the style for a while there was, you could see the American influence on the Japanese styles,
Yes.
but then we saw a very heavy influence of the Japanese, the manga and animation styles over here in America. Are we finding some sort of equilibrium, or are we starting to go more into our own separate directions again?
I think we're finding some equilibrium because in the early aughts, there was some really, really bad American manganization where, well, a good way to put it is, let's say you have a character with big, googly anime eyes.
Well, let me interrupt you there because we've got about 2 minutes left for artists to draw.
Okay.
Because of the problems Joe is having in connecting into the room, we're going to go ahead and just post his pictures later on into all the in fact, all the pictures will be posted over at the 910 Comics forum at community.910cmx.com. We'll have them in an art section.
Excellent. Can I answer the question now?
If you have to.
Well, I think it's finding some equilibrium because back in the early aughts, you had lots of people drawing. You know, it's like if you have someone who draws big googly anime eyes but doesn't know why the Japanese drew googly eyes to begin with, they'll just draw what they see without understanding the concept behind it, and it'd be like a copy of a copy of a copy. And you get something like Jeff Matsuda, who absolutely sucks at what he does because all his faces are like fucking concave. I mean it, concave.
Yep, watch the language. We're PG-13 here.
Oh, I'm sorry. Freaking concave. I'm sorry. But then again, you have other artists where where they understand the concept behind it. A great example of this is Adam Warren. Adam Warren gets it. So he starts from a concept where he gets it and he can draw an anime style where it's like I'm not copying it. I understand where it's coming from and I'm just sort of like going my natural direction from it. But
well, we've got 1 minute left. Sorry to interrupt you, Ben. And let me interrupt you because I want to comment about some of the comments we're getting over in our YouTube channel. From Mitchell Anderson, he's had a couple of comments here. First of which is, first comment. Yeah, actually, you've got the only comments right now, Mitchell. But he also comments that Ian was already called out for one of the best with Infinite Canvas, up there with Homestuck.
Oh, that's nice.
And he also says that Gold Digger is pure awesome. Only reason I don't read it is because I ran out of spare money. Now, come on, you got to scrape up enough money for that. I mean, it's what, $2.95, $3.95? I stopped looking at print comics when the Didio started his 17th reboot.
No, they're doing 18th now.
What, is that time of the month already?
It's like an angry woman.
But I'm going to say about 30 seconds left.
Speedy.
Now, I did want to also give a shout-out because when we talk about Fred Perry, that's actually one of the things I like about Akashi's art is she has a very similar style to Perry that I've noticed. It's not anime-ish. It's definitely anime influence, but it has your own style as well. So, I mean, for those who haven't seen it, go over to msfhigh.com and take a look at Akashi's work. And Rafe, you're the one writing that, aren't you? Mitchell says $2.95 for each issue. Hey, I'm old. I remember when I could get 100 pages for $1.
I remember when you used to be able to buy lunch with $1 and still have enough to take the electric train back home.
Wait, when did we have electric trains?
San Francisco.
Yeah, we're not in reality anyway. Okay, and time is up.
Damn it.
Pencils down, everybody.
All right, let me show you.
And we'll go ahead and let me cycle through. We'll start off with Akashi. Okay, here. There we go. Yeah, the Angry Lara Croft. Lara Croft? It's British, I don't care. Over to Ben, who had Supergirl transforming. The Wallywood transformation.
Yes, yes, it is the Hollywood transformation.
Last Tracks of Land. Ian, who had Nathan Drake, who's selling something. Definitely one of the better ones. And I'll put Joe's up in just a bit as well. So while we're doing that, let me go ahead and give you all your next ones. We'll go ahead and take a little bit of a breather. For those online, I want to go ahead and thank you. Remember, you can go to and have your own words put into the Art Jam randomizer. It's $1 subject or $1 in action, and it's for a good cause. We need new equipment, folks. And by sending that over to tfrevor@gmail.com through PayPal. You're also getting to hear. We're not doing this for the money, folks. I mean, we'll go through, but this is basically a chance for our artists to go through and have a little bit of fun, stretch their creative muscles, which is the main reason why I do this.
See, Ian got it, but when I said Nolan North, he's like, he got it.
I did. I didn't want to explain the joke, but yeah, basically it's like he voices everyone. So break. We just hang out.
Go ahead. We'll just go ahead and hang out while I pull up the next round.
All right.
And smoke them if you got them, folks. We've had some suggestions for some music in the background, that people would like to have some music in the background. If you have some suggestions, again, go ahead and send those over to me at a different address this time, tfrevor@910cmx.com, or go ahead and give those to us start a thread over at the 910 forum, community.910cmx.com.
Probably like YouTube would work, or...
Yep.
What should we link you? Okay.
Well, I mean...
I got a few.
We'll probably do it for the next one, because I'm going to have to set some stuff up so we can have music in the background. Yeah, we're going to be somewhat, musically inept this time around. Like I said, this is new technology. I'm still getting used to all this stuff. Yeah, my poor little Commodore 64 can't handle that much at one time.
Okay, well, Kitty Hawk just told me I should have made the boobs bigger.
Oh. I'm not even going to respond to that one. I expected that from Kitty Hawk. Okay, and I've got my randomizer window up for round 2. This round, we're going to, in just a little bit, say about 5 minutes, we'll start the drawing. And Ian, you have from Frozen Queen Elsa, and she is hitting something. Akashi, you have from DC Comics, you have Raven from the Teen Titans, and she is leading. What she's leading or how she's leading, we don't know. That's all up to you. Ben, also from anime, you have Tuxedo Mask from Sailor Moon.
Oh my God.
Choosing something. And Joe, you have from Marvel Comics, you have Mr. Fantastic, and he is flying. So in 5 minutes, we will go ahead and start the round.
Okay.
Do.
Time for me to do my snooty anime know-it-all voice. Technically, his name is Tuxedo Conan.
Wow.
Well, didn't they have the X-rated version where his name was Tuxedo Ramen because of his very big noodle?
You're going to have to ask Kitty Hawk about that one. By the way, she just released a new Yuri-themed comic on her store.
And I want to go ahead and thank, we've had one person chime in who had donated $1, and I will be putting that word into our randomizer. For those who don't know, we don't just have a list of words and we're adding your name under the word for that. Every time an action or a subject is chosen, the randomizer looks to see if there are words in our donators list, and it will immediately flip a coin. Heads, you get the donators list, and it will choose something from there. Tails, it will choose the default list and choose something from there. So you actually have a better than normal chance, a 50-50 chance of having your word donated, especially when you've got the only action or subject in there.
Got it. Got it. Well, let me get myself a drink.
And this is our quiet portion of the show.
That's fine.
Some of the comments we've got in, we'll read through these as we're waiting. Mitchell Anderson again, who says Supergirl becomes Power Girl. Yeah, that is about the big difference between Supergirl and Power Girl, isn't it? Showing my time as the old person, back before the Crisis on Infinite Earths, back in the mid-'80s, when we had the multiverse with the current heroes on Earth 1 and the classic heroes on Earth 2 and the Shazam heroes on Earth S and the evil villains on Earth 3 and all the rest of them. Power Girl actually was the Supergirl of Earth 2, the original Superman, the World War II Superman's cousin.
Yes. That is correct, sir.
Okay. I have gotten we've actually had a donation for $25. I have not received notice as to what words that our $25 donator wanted. Over to eBay, to PayPal I go.
$25. That'd be a lot. But when Tom mentioned Wally Wood, this goes back to what most people still consider an urban legend, but this is actually confirmed by someone that was there, that I know. Back in the old days, Wally Wood was drawing the book that Power Girl was in. I think it was actually one of the Justice League or Justice Society titles at the time.
All-Star Comics.
Okay. And Wally Wood, it was a bit of a notorious pervert back in the day, and he wanted to see how long he could just gradually up Power Girl's bust size while the comic was running before the editor realized what was going on and stopped him. So it was about over a year, until someone noticed, hey, wait a minute. But by then, that's just how she was known, and
yeah. But I'm going to get to do that a lot. Ben, go ahead. We're going to go ahead and start our 20-minute countdown.
Okay.
We are beginning. Okay.
So are we starting
I've
right
been
now?
thinking about my idea.
Yep, I'm going through. I'm going to show the words again for everybody. I will refresh these as soon as I can find where I put them. There we go.
All right.
So again, Ian, you have Queen Elsa from the Disney movie Frozen hitting something. Akashi, you have DC Comics' Teen Titan Raven leading something. Ben, you have Tuxedo Mask from Sailor Moon choosing something. And Joe, you have Mr. Fantastic flying.
All right. And we are a go?
We are going. Time is running.
Good. Ridiculous top hat. Wasn't that ridiculous? Yeah, it was.
Okay, we never did get your answers on your favorite comics, Ian. So we're going to go ahead and start off our little conversation with this. Go back to you.
Hmm. Shoot. Truth be told, I don't even really read a lot of modern comics. I still read some webcomics, though, so I'm just going to list one of them. Because, yeah. Cassiopeia Quinn. Really great webcomic by a friend of mine. I will link it in the... Oh, wait, it doesn't go to the chat, but I will link it here.
We'll put it on there.
It is drawn by pseudonym and written by Gunwild. It's like a really cool space comedy action comic, and right now it's still kind of building up and setting the stage, but we already have like some really awesome characters, both on the official forces who are hunting Cassiopeia down. Cassiopeia, who's like this master thief, through master space pirate basically, and this alien race called the Vana. It's really fun, really optimistic, really cool. Recommended.
Wait, what's their alien? The alien race called?
The Vana. I think I am misspelling them, but I should probably draw my thing.
No, I mean, I heard that, and the first thing that made me wonder is if their IT people are nerdvanas, but yeah, that's about what I expected.
Why?
To go with the original idea.
There we go. There we go. There we go. There we go. Let it go. Let it go. That's going to be stuck in your head.
It never left.
I'm sure everybody's heard it, but you heard that they have actually greenlighted a sequel to it. That's right, we're going to have Frozen 2. I can't help but wonder if the subtitle is going to be Bird's Eyes Peas.
Well, they were frozen today. Okay. Yeah, that sucks. Let's see here. Mommer always had messy hair. You know, no one took care of him. He woke up from a car crash. Still grew up like a bastard, though, if you ask me. You know.
Go in, Mitchell Anderson again, who's our most communicative and talkative over in the chat, is saying that he thinks that Power Girl is back over to Earth 2. In the world of the New 52, and I hate to say that I know more about it than I care to, yeah, they did their own version of Earth 2 where it was modern versions of classic heroes. And Power Girl over there is now back over to, is now actually Supergirl, well, excuse me. They're doing this thing where Earth 2 is being destroyed by being gobbled up by Darkseid's planet Apocalypse. They killed off Kal-El, and now Power Girl, Kara, his cousin Kara, is now that world's Superman.
Well, yeah. That's what I got to say about it.
There, I mean, it's. I was back when they started the whole New 52 thing. I figured that it would probably last about 4.5 years, well, just under 4.5 years, and I was pretty darn close. The reason I say 4.5 years, folks, 52 months. Dan DiDio seems to have this fetish for the number 52.
That's because he's the serial killer, and that's the secret to all those murders. You know, he's like the origami killer, but kind of like lamer and without the virtual yelling machine. Sean, Sean. Okay, that probably went over. So that was good.
It gives me a great question because it was mentioned on early about how a lot of comics nowadays, well, especially with the huge success of the Marvel movies and the not so huge success of the DC movies, about video games becoming part of the new media as well. Ian, I know you, and I'm going to pick on you this time, play a lot of the video games, primarily because I know that you and both you and Ben and a number of others join us at the 910 gaming server for Team Fortress 2 a lot. What do you think? Well, let me put the first question. First of all, what do you think is better nowadays? The current crop of movies or the current crop of video games, and why?
Such a strange question. Ah.
I ask it primarily because a lot of video games nowadays have been accused of breaking away from the quote video game mold and are more interactive movies. Now, do you think that's true? Do you think that a lot of the video games nowadays are really nothing more than interactive movies?
I think that is an acceptable thing that games can do nowadays. I used to not like it because it doesn't make best use of the medium, but I don't know, with games like the Telltale series and all that, and shoot, things like Life is Strange, I think it's reasonable. It's still something that works. All it is about, telling a story. It doesn't have to fit the normal mold of the old games, necessarily. So I don't know how to answer that.
Oh, go ahead, Ben. You've got something to say.
Okay. The thing is I enjoy the Marvel movies a lot. The DC games I enjoy more than the Marvel games. I think the last game that Marvel came out that was actually interesting was the Deadpool game, but even then, you can only have so much Nolan North.
So you're saying if you get too much north, you start to go south?
Yeah.
But did I misunderstand the question?
No, you probably got it right.
The biggest thing is with interactive movie kind of thing. It's I think games should still be fun and not so, because the interactive movie thing sort of turns into this quick timing event kind of thing. Press X to win game kind of thing.
Well, no, I can't agree with that. I mean, remember, I'm the old guy, and I mean, I grew up with, well, I was already a teenager when games like Don Bluth's Dragon's Lair and Space Ace came out, where that was, you come to a scene and then you got to push the button or the joystick in the right direction at the right time or you fail. Nowadays, a lot of the interactive games, let me point at Mass Effect, which is a terrific interactive movie, where it doesn't feel like it's just bad. You actually get to participate, and your actions, with the exception of Mass Effect 3, actually have a basis on the outcome.
There we go.
Well, let me go ahead and also ask this. Because there was a big stink because of what some actor said at the Academy Awards about there being too many superhero movies. Now, it does seem like there is a lot of crossover now because a lot of the writers that are being used by DC, primarily, but Marvel does it too, and so do some of the other ones, are starting off as script writers for movies and television. In fact, DC is leaving their home of 75 years of New York City and moving to Los Angeles so that they can be closer to their parent company, Warner Brothers. Do you think that the comic world is now the great mine for source material for movies and television? And I'm not just talking superheroes. I mean, in the recent past 5 years, we had things like probably one of the best movies of all time, R.E.D., with Bruce Willis and so many others. We've had the Scott Pilgrim films. We've got the Walking Dead TV series. Do you, like I said, Ian, do you think that comics are now the default go-to source for so much of the media? And is this a good or a bad thing?
All right. I think in certain ways it's good because comics have been underappreciated in history for a long time, and there's been some amazing stories that have come out. And in terms of filmmaking, it's kind of good that, well, for them, I guess it's kind of easy. They if they're just going to adapt a comic, it's basically already storyboarded for them almost. And even though, you know, it's not all adaptations too. It's like we're getting new versions of these things. Like, I'm pretty sure Civil War and what we've seen in Avengers and stuff, it's not directly from the comics. So these are things that are still being adapted, and we're seeing the stories changed, and all the stuff that we love about comics are being broadcast and shown. And I think comics have always had something to offer, so I think it's a good thing. In terms of creativity, it's kind of a bad thing, I guess, because, you know, we already have the comics, and I assume that we should be seeing like more original content made specifically for movies. I don't know where I was going with that one.
Well, let me go ahead
for the most part, it's a good thing because I like comics, and I like the comic movies that we've come out. Okay. There we go.
Let me go ahead and say firsthand, for those who are seeing the video right now, you'll see that I've got Joe England's picture of Starfire choosing up on our video. And we've also had Rafe come in, who had this to say about the video games, and someone's going to have to explain the term to me. QTEs?
QuickTime events.
QuickTime events. Okay, thank you. QTEs rose to prominence around the time of God of War came out. Near the tail end of the PS2 era, rigging and modeling got good enough that devs could make characters do stuff that looked really cool, but they couldn't figure out how to make the players able to actually do it with the controls available. QTEs were a good holdover method, but they never bothered to move much past that. Assassin's Creed actually is a good step towards how controls should be working, in my opinion. QuickTime events, I also have an opinion on that, which is why 26 episodes a year of half-hour TV shows is considered fine, but a movie, anything in general, every few years is considered too much. That's actually a good thing to spin off on, Ben, because we've seen the schedule for Marvel, and they have 2 to 3 movies coming out a year that build into their incredible universe. Do you think that Marvel, especially with DC now jumping in, and they've got their schedule for the next 5-7 years that also have 2 to 3 movies coming out just in the superhero genre, let me specify that, just in the superhero genre, do you think those movies are pushing it by having so much of a glutton? I mean, are we looking towards a superhero movie crash?
I think if we're not careful, that is what might happen, but at the same time, I think that this is a good thing that we're having good quality superhero movies that show just the different genres that superheroes can have, because Guardians of the Galaxy showed, oh, hey, Marvel has done space operas before, you know, versus just the standard, wham, bam, caricature of what a superhero comic is. But the biggest thing is that to go back to what you said about the Academy being all, attacky about superhero movies, or comic book movies to be more precise, I think it's because they really, really wanted Boyhood to win an award. It took 12 years to make.
I think a lot of it, because I also laugh about, serious actors dissing on superhero movies when you look at some of the talent that's in there. I mean, starting off with Robert Downey Jr., who, despite his personal problems beforehand, probably one of the best performances ever is in his movie Chaplin. To, in the recent times, we've had Glenn Close in Guardians of the Galaxy. We've had Robert Redford in Captain America: The Winter Soldier. We're looking at Michael Douglas in Ant-Man. we're seeing a lot of the heavy hitters in the movie world coming over and doing these movies now. It's no longer where we've got the unknown Chris Reeve coming in to play Superman, but we're getting some, honest to God, star power.
How many minutes left?
Okay, we have 3.5 minutes left.
Sweet. What do you think of mine so far?
I have no comments on these things.
Okay.
We should come up with a way where we can, like, put all of our stuff on the screen at once, even if it's still small. Right now, I think it just shows like a really teeny itty bitty thumbnail at the bottom right.
Yeah, I think you're right.
Yeah. Well, I mean, if we get more money in for better equipment in, I might be able to do that. Hint, 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 hint. I would love to go through and, I'll be honest, folks, some of the things I would love for 910 to do is start doing books, start having more merchandise to sell.
Merchandising.
But you got to know the territory. Obscure joke, folks. Okay, we've got about
those.
Yeah, 2.25 minutes. I do want to say we got another comment, some more comments in. Mitchell Anderson again talking about our video games, having just played Telltale Games' Tales from the Borderlands. Yeah, the press joystick did not die is back. On the other hand, it's helped by the technical improvements. And I will say, I mean, on the Telltale Games, I've played some of them. A lot of them are more the throwbacks to the old hunt and click, are they not, Ian? You play a lot of the Telltale games where it's more the King's Quest style games rather than more the first-person or interactive games, and intentionally done that way.
Mm.
Yeah, it actually like goes away from the usual puzzles in those games, and it's pretty much just pure story, pure narrative, dialogue choices and such. And like I love it when a game like Super Metroid or the Metroid series in general tells a story through the gameplay, through the atmosphere, through the environment, through the interaction. But I won't put down a game that still goes back to the traditional methods, like what the Telltale games do. They are definitely creative, and the stories are great, and the interactions, while still the choices are illusions, it still makes you feel like you're interacting with the world in a specific sense.
Now, I will say, let me go ahead and chime in, talking about video games and interactive with movies. There is one movie coming out that I was actually interested in seeing until I saw more about it, called Pixels, where basically space aliens send video game characters to destroy the Earth.
And the worst part about this is they actually got the real guy who created Pac-Man in it, and made me cry.
Well, that's
they have him as a character, but it's an actor who plays him.
Oh, okay. Well, it's not quite that bad then.
No, the part that made me cry about it was who the headliner was.
Adam Sandler?
Yeah. Isn't his 15 minutes of fame up yet? Speaking about up, time is up. Everybody pencils down.
Aww.
Let's go ahead. I've got Akashi's Raven up right now. And yeah, apparently she's leading a flock of birds. Ben, you have Tuxedo Mask choosing an appropriate setting for him. Ian, you have Frozen's Queen Elsa hitting something. I know a lot of people would like to do that. And again, we'll have Joe's Flying Mr. Fantastic up. We'll put that up as soon as we can.
In the Fantastic Car, perhaps?
No idea. That's why it's all up to the artist.
Okay.
Some more of the comments we've had, again from Mitchell Anderson, superhero movies have become mainstream. They're treated like real chances to get money. Unfortunately, they run the risk of Call of Duty syndrome or Assassin's Creed syndrome, releasing too many, etc. I think that... Ian, what do you think of that? Do you think that they... not the risk, but do you think that they are releasing too many?
See, the thing is, like, for the mainstream audience, it probably feels like it's a whole lot coming out. But I guess I'm used to the kind of... These movies are kind of like episodic content. It's like a big TV show, and it just keeps coming and coming, and I'm used to these kind of stories continuing on and on and on, and I guess it's just a different taste in that. There's definitely a lot of it, and you kind of wonder how far they have this planned and if we're going to get into the same situation that we have in comics where they're going to have to rely on things like shock events and things to keep the story going and keep audience interest. Right now, we're in a pretty good state, and hopefully we don't get there.
Now, this is more a bias of mine, not because of what I think about DC right now, but we seem to be seeing, in my opinion, actually reversal of certain events, because right now Marvel movies dominate. The DC movies, we've gotten Man of Steel.
That's what happens when you have someone named Zack Snyder take control of a movie about a hopeful, pure hero like Superman, and then you have a death toll in the millions.
But like I was saying, is a reversal, because right now Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. is starting to get good, and it's in its second year. Whereas we've had, over from the DC side, we've had Arrow. We've had it spin off into Flash. We're having it spin off into Supergirl, and they have another spin off coming up as well.
The animated Vixen?
What's happened? Huh? No, where it's they're going gangbusters on TV, where Marvel is floundering. But in the movies, it's the exact opposite. You think it's more because of the way that they're doing these movies?
I think part of it is because a movie is a one big wham kind of thing, while a TV series, especially a TV series where you have a guy named Joss Whedon running it, has a slow burn. And when Joss Whedon directs a movie, he does a big bang. You know, it's a very different kind of directing style depending on what he does, and I think that's a big component of it. Personally, I also think that I'm glad to hear S.H.I.E.L.D. is getting better, because I was starting to feel like about it, you know.
How's the Peggy Carter show? I hadn't had a chance to watch that yet.
It was a limited thing.
My dad liked it.
It was terrific. I mean, it doesn't hurt that the gal who plays Peggy Carter is very easy on the eyes and looks gorgeous. She actually looks better in the period clothing and makeup than she does in modern times. And no, folks, I'm not that old. I wasn't around in the 40s. And that's my story, and I'll stick to it.
Mm-hmm. Well, let's see here. We got the...
I have... coming in from Joe, let me go ahead and share that out, is Mr. Fantastic Flying. Let me share that out, folks. Too many windows.
Okay.
Here we go. Mr. Fantastic Flying.
That's pretty good.
Everybody ready for round 3?
Okay.
Are we taking a 5-minute break?
No, we just did.
But we did. Okay.
Oh, what were you saying though?
Well, because last time he gave us a 5-minute break after giving us our words, and then okay, never mind.
Okay. Here are our words and phrases for round 3. Ian, you have Princess Peach from the Mario games, sitting. Akashi, you have from the anime Naruto, you have Naruto himself receiving something. Ben, you have Starfire from DC Comics' Teen Titans dancing.
Okay.
And Joe, from Greek mythology, you have Medusa paying something or someone. We'll go ahead and wait a couple of minutes. In 4 minutes, we'll go ahead and start the official timer for the drawing.
All right. Well, let me pull up some references here. One thing I love about Perez is he always made good reference sheets.
I'm assuming you're meaning George Perez and not Frank Perez, who runs the Mexican joint down the road.
I mean George Perez.
We talked a little bit about who, in my opinion, were two of the greatest influences of comics, being, boy, my mind just went blank, Will Eisner and, of course, Jack Kirby.
Yes.
But you have to admit, there have been so many other artists that have gone on and heavily influenced comics. I mean, the Neil Adams style for so many years, as well as what he did behind the scenes with the comic companies. Archie Goodwin, John Byrne, and who's been a polarizing force, but you can't deny that he had a hell of a style. George Perez, and unfortunately, I have to say that we also have to include in the founders of Image Comics as well, but not exactly influencing in a positive light.
So, what's my second word with Starfire?
Dancing.
Dancing. Okay, good. Starfire dancing. Okay.
Dancing. I'm dancing. Okay. And we got a couple more minutes for you all to continue researching your characters. Whereas Ian's being a little sneaky and is starting to color some of his stuff again.
I think I accidentally deleted my color for Nathan Drake. I'm sad.
Before the podcast, before the Art Jam, I was talking with Joe back when we had his connection working properly. You have to admit, I mean, there are good artists, there are fast artists, but there are rarely few good fast artists. I've loved working with you, Ian, because you are one of those good fast artists. I mean, back when we were doing the little mini donation animations for the Watch, I mean, I'd give you an idea and you'd have something knocked out within a few hours.
Thank you.
Yeah, I hate you.
You know, good and fast is hard to find. I've commissioned many artists in the past. Many artists. I even told Ian some horror stories last night. You know, I think I actually lost $2,000 from artists that just vanished.
That's one of the risks. I mean, I've gotten some good commissions in and good work from a lot of artists over on a certain artistic site that has been rather deviant on it. But I've also had just the opposite, where people will just disappear. Yeah, it's a crapshoot no matter what. If you want to make sure that you get a good commission in, there are a lot of comic book conventions around, folks, where Artists Alley, people who put the time in, take a look, go down there, spend some of your money on there as well. I love DeviantArt for the same reason why I do webcomics, because it gives people a chance to get their work out there. But you have to admit, comic book conventions are the same thing, and they're putting money and risk on the line to go out to these things. Okay, we'll go ahead and we'll start. Our timer for round 3 starts now. 20 minutes.
Okay. Okay. It's
Now, looking over at your forum, some of your art sites, Ian, I know Princess Peach and the Nintendo characters have been a favorite of yours to work with. So the luck of the draw actually came through for you this time, didn't it?
Wait.
We've got a comment in from Mitchell again. Commission Wraith. Well, are you saying to write or to draw? And yeah, you can do a quote commission unquote within the Art Jam limits. Over on the rules for the Art Jam, as we said, do have different levels what people can contribute at and actually get a in the Art Jam commission. And you know what? For round 4, let me put it out there for everybody who's watching. I will break my own rules for round 4, which is our final jam, where we have one subject and one action.
Mm-hmm.
I will go through, and if someone donates $50, I will allow them to set either the subject or the action. The first one in gets it. Okay, we've gotten PayPal logo. Let me. Yeah, I see the logo. We've got another donation in.
Excellent.
Yeah, Mitchell's saying commission Rafe and Kashi. Yeah, don't just worry about. I mean, definitely commission them. But you know, our other artists also commissions. Commissions can be the lifeblood for artists. Granted, they take away from time in doing webcomics, but especially the ones that we have here. Joe can be commissioned. Ian sometimes can be commissioned. Ben, do you take commissions?
Not very often. I have a very busy job right now, but if you need a website put up or any sort of custom worked on a website, I can definitely do that and create a good webcomic website for you.
Yeah, Ray is saying that he's been considering taking writing commissions and doing some game mechanic commissions. Or they'll add a character for the MSFI page. Now, you'll have to answer me in the chat there, Ray. Don't you have a role-playing game for MSFI? And I sit here waiting for him to speak and answer while I'm reading the chat. He's saying an incredibly detailed one. Where can people find it? As an old role player myself, I mean, someone who played, well, hell, someone who sold Dungeons and Dragons back when it first came out. I've always had a fascination and love for them when you can get people who can play the game. Okay, I've got the link from Rafe. I'll be putting that up within the show notes on the. But if you've got a pencil and paper handy, you can get this at, and this is the MSFI role-playing game, at sites.google.com/site/Joey SMS, that's Sierra Mike Sierra, F High, or Joey's MSF High.
There we go. That's the problem. I had my inking thing on when I should have had the penciling thing on. No problem. I can still salvage these pencils. That's right. I'm drawing the classic George Perez Starfire, and you can't stop me.
I wouldn't put money on that, Ben. Yeah, I need about another 3 monitors just to view what's going on. Yeah, another comment from Mitchell. www.msfhigh.com/forum/index.php. We're currently fixing it up with new protocols, so yeah, help would be nice. Yeah, I completely agree with that. I know the guy who's behind the scenes doing that work. Cough. And yeah, new equipment would be nice to help out with some of that. One of the things that's going on is that what I would also love to do, if we can get the money for it, is we're currently using the forum software from Envision PowerBoard. This is software that we bought a number of years ago and paid kind of early on. So we get free updates no matter how long it goes out for those versions. They're coming out with a completely new version, and we do not get this update for free. This update to the 4.0 version is supposed to be a complete redo, and it's going to cost us about $150. That may not seem like much, but in the webcomic world, that can be a killer. Let me ask you a comment from Mitchell. Let's see if I can find it. It was just here. Oh, no, I can't find it. I'm sorry, Mitchell, I just lost it. And I'm talking about your email and not any thing between my ears. That's been gone for a very long time. George Perez, a person who knew how to drew women sexily and not sluttily.
That's correct. Unless you ask people like David Willis, and then they think, oh, she was a slut.
Well, let me go ahead and ask that, because that's always a good, interesting question, and we'll start off with you, Ben. Who would you say, and I know I'm opening up a can of worms here, let's hear, in your opinion, the best artist of modern times in comics?
Holy crap, that's a loaded question. If I had to pick someone like right now, if you only gave me 10 seconds, I would say currently working.
And there went the 10 seconds. You're gone.
Walt Simonson.
Well, I mean, yeah. Walt Simonson was definitely one of the greats. When we talk about game changers, when he took over the writing and art on a then failing Thor comic, he completely turned around, which is ironic considering one of the first things he did for Thor was turn him into a frog. He had that was about 2 issues. He had Thor Frog.
Barely.
But I mean, then he just completely went back. Well, he went back to the mythological roots that they had in there, the same way that Perez did with Wonder Woman. And both of those were complete game changers.
Yes,
Ian, who would you say what artist or artists would you say was most influential on your style?
On my style. I kind of wish that I could say it was Bruce Timm. His style and his art is like one of the things that got me started on everything, but I don't see a lot of it in my art anymore. So I don't know. I really can't tell you that, unfortunately.
Well, even if you can still see the influence, that doesn't mean he wasn't a big inspiration. I mean, one of Bruce Timm's biggest influences was Wally Wood. And I was talking to a friend of mine, and he said he sees very little, if any, Wally Wood in Bruce Timm.
Let me, before I comment on that, Rafe is over here saying, talking about the MSFI game system, which is designed to have transformations as a thing that you can not only do, but can be used in both helpful and harmful battle tactics. But also says, so much is mentioned in Legion, and I'm sure Mitchell will have something to say. Let's see if he does. Now, I will say, back to Wally Wood, I can actually see the Wood influence on there, depending upon the inker. I mean, I look back at All-Star Comics when he was doing the Earth 2 Robin, the Star Spangled Kid, and of course Power Girl, as well as the Justice Society. And the clean lines that Wood had at the time looked a lot like the stuff that Tim did. I remember both Wood and Tim. I know Tim got his start basically doing art for Playboy, and Wood did a lot of work there too. He may have known Wood from that.
That's a possibility. That's a strong possibility. It's but that would have been very late in Wood's career, and he was very antisocial in his last years.
Well, that's true. Most artists are. I mean, let me interrupt here. The email address is sleepyorigami. I've received your payment. Please let me know. Send to tfrevor at 910cmx.com. I'm assuming that your payment was for either the Final Jam subject or the Final Jam action. Please let me know which one you wanted and what it's to be.
Minutes.
But back to that. Yeah, you have to admit, up until, and again, I thank people like Neil Adams for that, because of the work that he did behind the scenes on getting artists their art back, because companies used to keep the art, on getting ownership of things back. You could go back not that far to, I mean, everybody knows who Superman is. Everybody knows who Jerry Siegel and Joe Shuster is, the creators of Superman. How many people know how much they've made off of Superman?
That's a very good point.
Or, I mean, the late, again, well, I'm saying the late, because most of these people have passed on. Charles, oh God, I can't think of his name. Moulton? Charles Marsden Moulton, the creator of Wonder Woman. Also the inventor of the lie detector, which is why Wonder Woman has the lasso of truth. Bob Kane came out relatively well. Stan Lee came out relatively well. But Jack Kirby, Steve Ditko, so many of the greats who were, well, to put it in no short terms, screwed.
Ditko especially, that led to his current very bitter stance.
Yeah, well, I mean, Ditko, all of them did. For those who don't remember, later in, and may not have known, Jack Kirby, who, I mean, if you're looking at the Marvel movies, you're looking at Jack Kirby. Almost everything created by Marvel, Kirby had his hands on. Not just Marvel. I mean, some of the characters that I loved, he did later on after Alex Toth did. He did some of the designs for Super Friends. He did designs for Thundarr the Barbarian. If you saw the recent Ben Affleck movie Argo, the storyboards for the movie that was never made, Argo, was Jack Kirby. But later on in his life, he went through and had some serious health problems. And it was through, I believe a lot of it was paid for by contributions and donations, things like that, from people in the comic community and fundraisers that were done by them. Steve Gerber, who later on who's recently passed away as well, recently past few years, who definitely got a big boost in recognition thanks to the end of Guardians of the Galaxy, where his most beloved character, Howard the Duck, was featured. He did a lot of work to get some money for Kirby. From the old Eclipse Comics, its publisher, Kat Urwandwi. I'm sorry, Kat, if I'm screwing your name up. Please let me know if for no other reason than I would love to talk to you. I remember the whole "What About Jack" advertisement that went on in a lot of the non-mainstream comics. Eclipse, Dark Horse, back before they became the Juggernaut, and so many others. Comico. For those who are interested in some of the history of comics, I will say that one of the things that I've been enjoying is the blog of Jim Shooter. For those who, again, don't know, Jim Shooter was the editor-in-chief of Marvel for the longest time, and he was a polarizing force. People either liked him or hated him. but he did a lot of good and a lot of bad in the comics in general. But read his blog about some of the things that are going on in the comic industry from back then to nowadays. Okay, Sleepy Origami. He says, I just wanted to say I like Joe's comic. Joe, you've got another fan out there. I was just donating for fun and don't know much about the Art Jam. Apologies, I can't remember the email you said, but hopefully the comment will be seen. It was seen. Sleepy Origami, if you just want to post it in there, what you get, thanks to your donation, is you can choose for our final jam. We will have a subject and an action. Only one of them, and all of our artists will have to draw that, draw their own interpretation. Thanks to your donation, you can choose either the subject or the action if you wish. And the email if you want to, and if anybody wants to just chat with me, I can't promise I'll get back with you. I do have a lot of email I go through, but you can send that to me at TF, that's Tango Foxtrot Revor, R-E-V-O-R, just think Rover spelled backwards, at 910cmx.com. You can also post comments over in our forum at community.910cmx.com, which we might actually be able to upgrade thanks to some of the donations we're getting. I do want to chime in again. I've got to find a new phrase of it to chime in. I do want to say that I got a message from Darren, Darren Brown, who is my partner and the artist on the comics Crossworlds at crossworlds.ws and Murray and Louie.com, that he wasn't able to be with us. He's sorry he couldn't be with us, but he is making a donation as well. So, I mean, Darren, I wish you could have been here. I understand the reasons why, and I want to thank you so much for not just what you did tonight, but again, I was talking with Joe earlier. One of the biggest highlights of my career and my life was I was a fan of Darren's for the longest time, and when I just thought I'd throw out, hey, you want to do a guest comic over John Lotshaw's Accidental Centaurs together? And he said yes. And that led, I mean, I had such fun writing with and working with Darren that we did a second one, that we did a third one, and our throwaway characters from the bar, from one of the guest comics we did, took on a life of their own and became our main characters for Crossworlds. You never know what's going to happen in comics, do you?
There we go. Oh boy, I don't do George Perez any justice, but I still loved it.
But let me go ahead and chime in. Blech.
Wow.
Okay, what can we have for the cliche for Thomas this night? We have 1 minute and 20 seconds left for everybody. 1 minute and 20 seconds.
Speed
And
run.
let's see. We have Peach sitting in a white dress. I hope Mario doesn't see that. Sleepy, Joe says thank you. And let's see. Yay, Darren Crenshaw from Mitchell Anderson. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
You'll have to explain that one to me someday. Yeah, that's probably one of those references you youngins get that I just don't understand and get off my lawn. 30 seconds, folks. 30 seconds before we go into our final jam. Let's see. Not seeing anything there. 13 seconds. Everybody count down with me. 10, 9, I always hated this. 8. We'll get started with the 5 seconds, folks. 5 seconds. Get ready. 3, 2, and 1. Put down those pencils. The timer is done. The turkey is cooked. And the artwork is pretty dang good. And he says that as if he's surprised. Coming up, we've got Akashi's Naruto, and let's see, Naruto was receiving something, Ninjutsu for Dummies. We've got over from Ben, Starfire Dancing. Thank God I was expecting a leisure suit on that one. I don't think even Starfire could make a leisure suit look good. We've got Peach's Peach's Prince sitting from Ian, and let's see. Okay. Oh, that's good. We've got a subject in for from Sleepy. So let's go ahead and take a quick break. By quick break, I'll say about 4 minutes before I give out subjects. And we'll have a little bit of time for you all to take care of that. Oh, wow. I mean, comics have been a big thing. We're getting ready to see. Marvel says it'll probably be their last big company-wide multi-extravagantial thing, and they're going back to what was actually close to one of their first, and that's the Secret Wars. I was talking about Jim Shooter, who was the editor-in-chief and the creator of the first Secret Wars, which is probably best remembered and not even remembered for giving us the black-suited Spider-Man, which became Venom. But Marvel's getting ready to do their Crisis on Infinite Earths with a new Secret Wars.
Let's talk about the original concept of Venom. How many people know what the original Venom concept was supposed to be?
Other than me?
Yes.
Well, I'm going to... Ian's our only other person on voice chat, so...
No. I feel like I've heard it before, but I am totally interested in hearing it again.
Okay. The idea of Venom was supposed to be a villain that gets the black suit after Spider-Man, that targets Spider-Man in a revenge kind of story. Venom was originally going to be a woman. The story was her husband gets killed in a car accident because a driver got distracted watching Spider-Man web sling and crashes into her husband's car. And she blames Spider-Man for it. There are far worse villain motivation stories than this, by the way. I know this one's pretty lame, but let me finish. So she gets the black suit, and she's supposed to stalk and terrorize Spider-Man. The problem was the editor at the time did not think that a woman would be a credible physical threat against Spider-Man, even with the symbiote.
I thought you were actually going to go back to the origin of the black suit. Originally, the black suit was supposed to be a permanent change, and it was supposed to be a sci-fi-ish costume. I even remember the debut of the black costume,
Yeah,
which was actually before. Yeah, which was the first debut was actually before the debut, which was supposed to be in Secret Wars.
And it's based the look of it is based off the Julia Carpenter Spider-Woman costume.
Yep. And yeah, one of the things it had a dimensional rift that he could store things in, sort of a bag of holding.
Hammer space.
Yep.
But no, I was talking about the idea of the costume becoming the villain.
Yeah.
Venom was originally going to be a woman, and
yeah. And the reason for that change from the sci-fi costume to the symbiote, which became villain, was because so many people hated the black costume Spider-Man.
The artists loved it. It was a lot easier to draw.
Yeah. But okay, our time is up on our break. So, is everybody ready?
Let's do it.
I'm going to say, okay. Ready? Let's go. Back here in the chair. We have heard from Sleepy as to what he has got a subject for you. So, let me get you. Okay. Our subject is going to be a monster.
Okay.
You pick which monster. Just a monster. And that is going to be... No, don't want to use that. We already used that. You're up to... I could need to get a better randomizer. That's cliche. Serving dinner. So yes, you have your choice of a monster. Serving dinner. 20 minutes has started.
Okay. Is this the last one?
This is the final jam.
I am the last one.
Donations can still be accepted, even though we aren't going to have any more art after this one. As I didn't say it in the beginning, I will want to thank everyone, our artists, as they know. We try to keep things PG-13 for our art jams. I never know who's going to be watching in. Since this is going out over YouTube as well, I don't know who's going to be seeing it there. I've never agreed with the Comics Code, but I can understand the reasoning for it. And it's funny, I talk about the Comics Code, I talk about the so-called censorship thanks to that idiot, Frederick Wortham. But there were a lot of writers and artists who said that the Comics Code actually made them be better.
Called creativity through adversity.
Well, I mean, the first thing that comes to mind automatically is, you want to talk about game changers in the comic book world, Jim Steranko, who we've heard a lot of recently thanks to, he was the artist on Nick Fury, Agent of S.H.I.E.L.D. And there was so much stuff that he put in there, not just a dynamic art style, but so much was hidden in there. He was probably not just the best artist that could have been gotten for S.H.I.E.L.D., but also definitely an artist that I would almost say epitomized the 60s.
Yeah, did they want him to not show Nick Fury getting it on with a woman, so they did a close-up of his gun holster instead, and that was far more provocative than the scene implied.
There was a lot. I mean, it was all Captain Kirk pulling on his boots type of stuff.
If anyone knows what this monster is, they're going to get some good gold points with me.
Well, they're not going to be seeing it just yet because we actually have to go to a different monster. I just got in the artwork from Joe England, over at zebragirl.net. I don't even know my own members' websites. But right now, as my mouse disappears, I am putting up his Medusa Pain. Yes, Monster Girls still count as monsters.
That was quick.
Well, no, that was from the last round.
Okay.
Remember, he had Medusa Pain.
Okay, that's right. Like I said, if anyone knows who my monster is, you're going to get some gold points.
Well, all I can see is the bottom 2/3, and with that shoe, for some reason, I'm thinking Frankenstein Jr.
No, here.
I've just had a request for my AIM ID. Folks, I'll tell everybody. My AIM ID is TFREVOR. However, I will admit, I am away from my AIM a lot. I do have it open, but I am away from it a lot. So usually the best way to get messages to me is either through the 910 community forums or email them to me at tfrevor@910cmx.com.
There we go. Now we can apply the ink layer.
Oh, we've had a Wraith and Akashi are chiming in, and they think it's Gossamer. And I have to agree with them.
It is! I thought nobody would remember Gossamer.
I used to have a girlfriend who was a redhead who was really a big Gossamer fan.
Oh my God! I thought I was doing a reference no one would get, and then boom, it's Gossamer.
We've actually got a message in from Joe who says, "Man, he wishes he could talk in the chat." He says, believe it or not, he could defend Wortham. No, not what he did in regards to comics, but that guy actually did a lot of good work with the sick. I will agree with Joe on that. If you leave out, Seduction of the Innocent and everything that occurred after that. From what I've read, he became very fixated on comics as the root of all evil. And some of it, at the time period, because a lot of what he was pointing to were the true crime comics, it wasn't just all the wink, wink, nudge, nudge sexuality in comics, like Wonder Woman's Bondage, which was there, the innuendos between Batman and Robin, which, well...
I think that was unintentional, but funny.
Sometimes a cigar is a cigar. But there was a lot of gore. There was a lot of shock value that was in comics at the time. I mean, of course, I always like to point out that one of the best things that we got from the Comics Code was a man by the name of M.C. Gaines, who owned the comic such as Tales from the Crypt, who did a lot of the true crime and monster comics. And to get away from the Comics Code, he actually went into magazines, which was not covered by the Comics Code, and most notably started one called Bad.
Which is where Wally Wood worked for a while.
Oh, there are so many people who worked at Mad who are such talents. Ian, you've had a shout out from Tum Tuck. He says, "Yo, hi, Ian. Good luck on this jam."
All right. Thank you very much.
Now, for all of you watching and listening, and those of you who will be watching us on the recorded YouTube later on, I do want to go ahead and say we do try to do this every 2 months. You can find out more information about the Art Jam over at artjam.910cmx.com. I prefer to do art jams where we can raise money for charities. You know, it's the same rules, but when we do it for a charity, every single penny that we get will be going towards that charity. And it doesn't have to be just the major charities. If someone you know is running a GoFundMe for someone who needs medical expenses, or somebody who's had a great tragedy in their lives, or like their house is burning down, or need to pay for funeral expenses, or something like that, please just email me and we'll see what we can do. When there isn't an art jam, normally what we will do is all of the monies will be split 50-50. Half of it going towards 910 operating expenses, half of it being split between all the artists who join in the art jam. This is the exception because this was specified from the beginning as being a fundraiser just for 910. But other than this, every other time that we'll do it where we don't have an official charity, it will be split between 910 and our drawing artists. And again, this is done, even if we don't make a dime, this is done so that we artists, well, the artists, leave me out of it, can just get together, stretch their drawing muscles, and just have a good time talking, chatting, and listening to me ramble.
Oh boy, I'm just happy to be in a room with people who know who Gossamer is and know what his name is.
I love Gossamer. I didn't know his name, though.
One of the classic Chuck Jones monsters. I mean, it's such a simple design, but at the same time, there's something very cool about it. I mean, it's like...
Okay, and how many people remember Gossamer's biggest weakness?
Water?
Nope. Bugs himself used it on one occasion. A bottle of hair remover.
That's right.
All that was left were the gym shoes. Trainers to our folks over the pond. Across the pond. 10 minutes are down. 10 minutes remaining for our artists to continue drawing. This is our final jam of the night.
They are sand shoes.
Thank you, Joe. He's saying, well, you're an artist, Tom. Writers are artists of a kind. No one would argue that. Yeah, but I can't draw. He also sent one that just said people.
People who need people.
Yeah, Wraith got it. Yeah, hair removal tonic.
See, I don't like his Martian monsters. You know, the beaked, like umbrella hatted ones. Because
Oh, come on. I mean, those were instant Martians. Those were not real Martians like Marvin.
Still, you know, they didn't really.
And I'll save everyone for my bad Marvin the Martian impersonation.
What am I looking for? What's the word I'm looking for?
Yeah, those were the bodies like the old water drinking birds that used to, you know, tip over, drink and then bob back up, and then they dry out and they tip over and drink some more and bob back up.
Yeah.
With the little umbrella hats. Yeah, we've had. Okay, that's what Joe and Mitchell are saying by people. Yeah, Gossamer was afraid of the audience. All those people staring at him.
I think I'm the only one who's not using like Manga Studio.
Hey, I'm not using Manga Studio. Hey, if you can't do it in command line, it's not worth doing. We've got 7.5 minutes left to go.
Good. All right. Let's see here. Let me experiment a little bit with this thing here.
Wraith is saying that Akashi's actually using Adobe Illustrator.
Really?
And regretting it.
Oh.
Yeah, I'm surprised because Illustrator is primarily vector-based, isn't it?
It is. Totally vector-based.
Well, not totally, because I'm watching Akashi draw right now, and that is raster graphics that she's using.
Interesting. Didn't think you could do that.
It's also auto-smoothing her lines in ways she doesn't want.
Mm.
There's a way to turn that off. I'll have to look it up, but I do know there's a way to turn that off. For any of our viewers who know how to turn off the auto-smoothing in Adobe Illustrator, please chime in. Chime. Okay, folks, new drinking game. Every time I say the word chime, take a shot.
So what's another word for the ham bone, Tom?
Don't ask me. I stopped doing the hand jive a long time ago, too.
The chine bone.
Wah, wah.
Yeah, Joe's not using Manga Studio either.
What's he using?
So, yeah, Joe, what program do you use? Or are you... That's right,
Isn't that
Joe's a
just
traditional
pencil, or-
artist. Yeah, I think he's a traditional media artist. It's... I have to ask, because, I mean, working with Darren, those who work in traditional media, I know that everyone that I've met, especially Darren, likes their own tools. I mean, Darren uses these Chinese calligraphy brush pens. What tools do you all like? Ian, I know you work primarily digitally. I mean, do you have a preference as to what type of tool? Because I know you've looked at the Cintiqs, I know you have a tablet, and I know all this other stuff.
Okay, yeah, I've come to really like Manga Studio. It's, first I got it because it was cheap, but then I learned that it can basically do almost everything Photoshop can do, and in some ways better, because it has a suite of tools which are made specifically for comics. I got like a bunch of brushes from Frendon, and it's just really really effective, and it gives me a lot of options when it comes to changing things up whenever I need to.
Did you ever get that problem that you had with Manga Studio taken care of? For those who don't know, one of the problems that he had with Manga Studio was it would take chunks of his picture out of the picture. Yeah, it was just these square blocks that would just disappear.
And what's weird is that was a problem that only I had. Like, I could not find any word on that from anyone else. But yes, it was solved. Manga Studio released an update, and it basically, well, it didn't fix the problem, but it made it so that I could see if it came up, and I could kind of correct it a little easier. So all's well.
4 minutes. Now, I will say, I mean, you weren't the only one, because I installed Manga Studio on my computer just to see if I could find out what was going on myself, and I had the exact same problem, too.
Oh, that was just when you opened my file, wasn't it?
No, I mean, I tried, doing some stuff, and I duplicated the process that you used, and it came to the same problem. But, yeah, it wasn't just opening your files. I don't know. I'm switching over to Akashi's picture right now because she's saying that they draw sketches on cardstock, which is way cheaper than Bristol board, but much tougher than standard paper, which is true. I know that Darren does his on cardstock as well. Inking is done in Illustrator, and line cleanup and coloring is done in Photoshop CS5. And by we, I mean Akashi, as I do nothing other than stick figure layouts. Hey, at least you can draw stick figures. That's more than I can do.
Well,
Ben, what do you use?
When I first started, I did everything analog. I drew on Bristol board. I bought actual Bristol board vellum paper. I penciled on it. I inked with a brush, a Winsor Newton Series 7 size 2. I was actually taught how to ink by Wayne Howard, who used to ink Spider-Man back in the 70s. He was Wally Wood's apprentice, and I, in turn, was his apprentice, and that's how I inked. I inked the same kind of method that Wally Wood did, but...
Let me interrupt you because we've got 2 minutes left, and as we round out, I want all of the artists to think, and send it to me through the text if you aren't on voice. What would you recommend as the single most important book for a newcomer to art to look at? Or not just a book, the single most thing that a new artist, can look at to learn the art. I mean, I'm saying that because, yeah, every artist is going to say practice, 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 practice.
It's true, though.
More. But even those who do that, there's always something you can look at and learn at. I know that some people recommend architectural, some people recommend certain books. What would you recommend? So artists, as we're rounding out with a minute and a half left, I want to thank everybody for coming in tonight. I want to thank all of our viewers who came in tonight, and especially those who donated. We did get a nice amount together that will help me get new equipment. May not be as grandiose as I want, but we will be getting something new.
Awesome. Can I answer that question of what I think every artist?
We'll do it after, when the sound goes off, when I tell everybody hands down, we'll go around and I'll ask everybody. And I did it early so that our people on text can let me know.
Okay, well, can I finish my method thing? Because I started analog, but now I'm using Sketchbook Pro on a Surface Pro, and that works rather well.
And that was the original Surface Pro, not the newer ones, correct?
That's correct. The newer one doesn't use does not use the Wacom digitizer anymore. It uses a different type of digitizer that's in the pen instead of in the screen. It has half of the pressure sensitivity, so that's why I prefer the original.
Well, we have 10 seconds left. 10 seconds for everybody to finish up what they're doing. Artists, if you would, when you're done, please send me them via email. I will be putting all of the art up. Oh, there's our time. Time is done. Yeah, as I was saying, please send them to me. If you want to do more work, send them to me as they are now. If you want to do more work on them later on, please be my guest to do so. But all of them will be going up on the 910 community forums in our art gallery with their own special section, just like the ones from our previous art jams have done.
Sweet.
But let's go ahead and go around. I'm waiting to hear from Joe and Akashi about that. So, Ben, you're our talker of the night. Go ahead and tell me, what is the single most important thing that an artist can look at for education?
Here's my advice. Get two things, a sketchbook and a bus pass. And just take the bus and sketch whatever you see, because that's the best way to learn.
That's not what I said. Get back to the rules. Name a book. Name something that they can go out and purchase.
Every book Okay, I'm going to say the same book that was recommended to me when I started, even though I think it's way overkill. Hogarth's book. I have it right here.
I loved him in The Iron Giant.
Byrne Hogarth's Dynamic Anatomy.
Make sure to email me something about that. And, artists, if you can, when you email it to me, if you want to include in a link over to something on Amazon or half.com, which is the same thing, or a source where they can get that from. I want to, Akashi, I got something in from Akashi, and she says that she has no valid answer for that. There are like 9 different ways that people can learn. My teacher friend tells me, and for some, just looking at the sort of thing they'd like to draw is enough. That's fair enough. Fair enough. Part of the reason why I asked this question was because there are so many how to draw books out there that, as a writer who works with artists, I look at them and say, who would buy these things? And people do. So it's more of a point in the right direction as it is, steering away from the wrong direction. But Ian, how about you?
Okay, first, before I say the resource, just kind of want to add with what Ben said, because, I mean, I think it is important to mention these kind of things. It's at least to set it up. So definitely, like he said, draw from life. Look at what's interesting around you and learn from life, because learning from art that's already been done, it's definitely useful, but if you want to really find your voice and figure out, how things work and figure it out on your own, doing it from life is the best way to go. Also, another lesson is just to have fun. A lot of people get really frustrated with art. They compare themselves to others. They put themselves down. They give up. Just have fun. Even if you're just starting out, art's not going to look great. Don't care. Art really is about the idea that you're putting out. It's about the story. It's about the characters. It's about having fun. And once you get to the point where you're pretty satisfied and pretty good, start looking up resources. The internet's full of them. You don't have to pay a dime, but look. I would recommend. It's also kind of mid-range, high-end, but it's something that every resource sites it's always been recommended to me. The Loomis books. He simplifies how to draw people and everything in a really easy to understand way that also kind of covers things like perspective and other elements that in art that's important. If you can draw a person, you can draw anything. That's something I say. Or as soon as you start learning how to draw the simple shapes and use those to build up real actual objects and figures and everything, it's all about starting simple and building on it. So yeah, that's mine.
Okay. I haven't heard from Joe yet, but I will go ahead and say, disclaimer first. As I've said, I am not an artist. I can't draw a straight line with a ruler. But I am a writer. I'm a comic writer. I'm a prose writer. I'm a newspaper and radio writer. It is very important, speaking as a writer, for artists to know our terminology. So I recommend that artists go out and get things like How to Write Comics by Peter David, How to Write the DC Comics Way by Denny O'Neil. Go out and pick up some of the books on writing. Go out and read Shakespeare or some of the other great prose. Learn the terminology that we writers use so that you can talk to us and understand what we're saying as well. Miscommunication can be hazardous to a comic writer. But on the flip side, writers, this is one of you talking to you, pick up art books as well. I probably have as many art books as I do books on writing because I need to know how to talk to my artists as well. And I have to know what they are saying. You know, the difference between a 1-point and a 5-point line, between a bird's eye view and a worm's eye view, and all the other terminology which is used, you have to know that so that you can get it through to your artist what you want to see. So, I mean, don't hesitate to pick up those things. I mean, the first one that I ever saw was the How to Draw Comics the Marvel Way by Stan Lee and primarily John Buscema. Buscema? Or was it John Romita Sr. who drew that one?
I think it was Romita.
I think it was John Romita Sr. But let me go ahead and end this off with the letter I got from Joe, and he says, as for your question, I'd recommend the old standby, Understanding Comics by Scott McCloud. It's great food for thought even if someone's not pursuing comics as an art form. It reminds you to look at things in different ways. Speaking of which, I always recommend artists to look at their own work in a new light, specifically to flip it in a mirror or hold it up to a light, to see it backwards in some ways. It's a wonderful way to see things you don't even know you were missing. Our eyes, like our minds, are naturally biased. Actually, I completely forgot about Scott McCloud, which should be a sin for me. Any of Scott McCloud's comics books, that he's got about 6 of them out there, and that's not even including his own work on a comic called Zot. If you can get the entire compilation of the Zot comics with his notations in there, do so. But yeah, he's probably the most informed about the science of comics as well. In fact, he's the one who termed the Infinite Canvas, but he also termed micropayments, so he loses on that point. And let me go through, of course, and show everybody Joe's work. And with that, we're going to end it off for the night. Joe's Monster Serving Dinner. Of course, who else would he show?
I don't see it. Oh, I see it now.
Yep, there we go. But again, I want to thank everybody. I hope you all have had a lot of fun doing this. I hope you all come back for it, both our artists and our viewers, listeners, and readers. And I'm going to go around the table. Everybody, I'm going to give you one last chance to plug your stuff, starting with Ben.
Me? Okay. Well, I've had many comics. I've had PointGuard.com, which has ended for about 5 years now, but it ran for 5 years. It was a huge archive. Hero Academy comic, which is starting up in about a week and a half. Gone out for about 4 years off and on. Different things happened. Artists changed. There's other dramatic things. A Majestic Night comic, which is starting next month. Still drawing a 2-month buffer. And that's about it.
Ian, looking at your comic, I can definitely tell where it was coming from now. Go ahead and give us your plugs.
My plugs. Okay. Well, like Tom mentioned in the intro, I work for The Watch. Still waiting for the scripts and everything to come along. Currently, another artist is working on a script that Tom's working on. But yeah, The Watch, still one of my favorite comics. I fell in love with it as soon as I started reading it, and it's really cool to be part of the team. My other webcomic is The City of Reality, which is a completely original comic by me, based about the concept of the perfect world and how possible it is and what kind of challenges it might face, and just kind of an avenue for me to throw ideas into the mix, both ridiculous and serious.
And I'll go ahead and Kashi Wraith, along with MSFHigh.com, which is their own comic, MSFHigh.com, also says you can participate in their forums, or you can read the just finished Mahou, M-A-H-O-U, Galaxy at msfhwraith.deviantart.com. Ben and Ian, before I go over to Joe, don't you also have Twitter or Tumblr or Fastner or other sites like that?
Oh, definitely. Yeah, I should mention those. You can find I update tons both on Tumblr and DeviantArt. It's pretty easy to find. Ian C. Samson with no P. .tumblr.com. That's where I post pretty much everything, including my thoughts on stuff. And my DeviantArt is tran4of3.deviantart.com. So check out my work.
And Ben?
I have a Twitter called Ben Comic Graphics. Check it out if you want to see me act grumpy and say this sucks, that sucks, this person's an idiot.
Your Linkari impersonation.
What? No, Jesus Christ. Oh my God. Look, you didn't know the guy. I had to freaking share a room with that. Yeah.
Okay, and going on to Joe, of course, visit Joe England's work over at zebragirl.net. ZEBRAGIRL.net. The Watch, Zebra Girl, they've been going on. Well, The Watch has been about 13 years now. Zebra Girl has been about 10. And of course, stop by 910 Comics, visit out our other members as well. We've got a lot of people out there doing a lot of great work for members of 910. And just don't limit yourself to 910. Take a look at the other webcomics out there. The webcomic world is the new media, even if we've been around for over a decade now. And it's a place where you can actually get your own dreams fulfilled of being a comic book writer or an artist. Never stop writing, never stop drawing, never surrender. I'm Thomas Revore. I'm the owner of 910 Comics and your host for the 910 Comics Art Jam. I want to thank everybody for stopping by. Have yourself a good night.